Tonight, an emotional tribute from Olivia Newton-John's daughter as Victoria plans a state memorial. Wayne Carey hits back over the fight fallout from a Roos reunion. Matthew Guy facing new trouble as another top staff member quits. A mystery man left in limbo with no name after he was found badly injured in Melbourne's northern suburbs. The Commonwealth Bank offering hope on home loan interest rates. And breaking news as the Blues fight to save their season.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. Victoria is preparing for an emotional public tribute to honour Olivia Newton-John. Mike Amor has the details, and Mike, preparations are underway for a state memorial.
Mitch, that's with the family's blessing after they accepted the offer of a state memorial service following Olivia's death. It's prompted a wave of emotion across the world, and last night landmarks across Melbourne were lit up as a mark of respect for the girl from South Yarra, who of course went on to become a global superstar and a champion in the fight against cancer. There's also a flood of tributes, but the most touching came from her daughter, who revealed her mother's brave fight until the end.
Breaking her silence with song.
Has this world forgotten how to love?
Olivia Newton-John's only child, Chloe Latanzi, posting a video of the two performing together, adding, "You are my lighthouse, my safe place, my heart space. It's been my honour to be your baby and best friend." Also leaving a voice message to share with fans.
She's free now and she's out of pain, and all the family's here together. And she's making the sun shine, and the dogs are running around and barking, and the horses are galloping, and she fought so hard, and I was with her every step of the way.
The Grammy Award-winning singer and actor passed away aged 73 after a 3-decade on-off battle with cancer.
It's a bit raw to talk right now.
Leaving many struggling, like close friend Delta Goodrem, who played Olivia in the TV movie.
Every moment she was an example of what it was to be a role model, and an example of what it was to lead in kindness. And tears too from the Grease co-star who played Frenchie.
She would start that song and put her arms out like this and say to the audience, "I honestly love you." And she meant it. And what will always stay with me.
Dee Conn says she knew Olivia was fading as they exchanged final text messages.
"You know, you're always in my heart, always." And she wrote back, "You're always in mine too." And that's my last text from her.
She earned front page tributes, the New York Post, So Long Sandy, People magazine, A Life of Love and Courage. Messages too from ABBA. What do you feel, what do you say when the nicest, kindest and most loving woman leaves us to travel somewhere else? As this rare video surfaced of them performing together.
Help me round, help me round, help me round, help me round.
Elton tweeted, "The saddest of news to wake up to, a beautiful and courageous woman who I never heard complain about her illness." And from Oprah, her positivity was just infectious. And from former Premier John Brumby, who once received this,
I love you,
for helping fund her Cancer Wellness Centre.
The contribution that she's made to cancer, cancer wellness and cancer research is quite extraordinary.
And as the tributes continued, Olivia's family opened up on her final week, saying it wasn't just the cancer that claimed her, but the secondary infections and a vulnerable immune system, revealing she was struggling and in pain. At peace now, the woman who lit up the lives of so many worldwide, last night remembered with light across Australia, her hometown Melbourne, with landmarks in Adelaide too, and Perth, all bathed in pink in honour of Liv. Chris Reason, 7 News.
AFL legend Wayne Carey has broken his public silence over a confrontation with former North Melbourne teammate Anthony Stevens. Cameron Bowe has the details, and Cameron, Carey denies claims that there was any threat of it getting physical.
Mitch, Wayne Carey says talk of a fight between himself and Stevens is completely wrong. This all came from the Roos 1996 Premiership reunion at a hotel in Yarraville on Saturday. Carey admits their friendship was shattered back in 2002, but says there was nothing more than a firm conversation.
I think everyone knows that Steve-O and I aren't best mates. That's not a puzzle. I was worried about him and I said, I'm worried about you. And he said, well, he obviously took a little bit of umbrage to me saying I was worried about him. To say that it was a massive altercation or came to blows and then we left there and everyone was upset with everyone and it was a big thing is totally incorrect.
Carey claims Stevens didn't miss the formal reunion celebrations at Marvel Stadium on Sunday because of the incident and that they continued to drink together afterwards, Mitch.
Cameron Bowe in the newsroom, thank you. Matthew Guy is facing more political turmoil just 3 months before the election. State political reporter Chanel Vella has the details. And Chanel, the Liberals have just lost a second key staff member.
Well, they certainly have, and Liberal insiders are not happy. They've told 7 News, to use their words, that they fear that Matthew Guy's leadership is a sinking ship and they're worried that they could go down with him. 9 days after an email scandal tore through the Liberal Party, forcing the resignation of Matthew Guy's Chief of Staff, his second most senior staffer has walked. Why did Lee Anderson resign?
Well, we're now in full campaign mode. The election is just a few months away and there is a very hungry young team in Matthew's office.
Media Director Lee Anderson takes decades of experience with him. His resignation now leaves the Liberal Party with a significantly less experienced team, just 15 weeks shy of the election.
And he is gone for personal reasons.
The Shadow Health Minister denied Mr Anderson left after a disagreement with new Chief of Staff Nick McGowan. He was brought in after his predecessor, Mitch Catlin, attempted to funnel more than $100,000 into his personal account from a billionaire donor.
When did you become aware of that scheme?
Oh, Tom, I've answered all questions on this last week.
And while Mr Guy dodges questions, the state government, which also faces scrutiny over its integrity, continues to circle.
It might be difficult for Matthew Guy to arrange a press conference when he's lost his media director, but the fundamental questions still have not been answered. We don't know who was involved in these arrangements.
Chanel Vella, 7 News.
A man has been lying in a Melbourne hospital bed with no name and no identity for more than a month. He was hit by a train and critically injured, but so far, despite a widespread search, police cannot find his family.
There was no bedside vigil for this man as his life hung in the balance. His identity is a mystery, a month after he was hit by a train.
If I was in that position, I'd want my family around me, and if I was that person's family, I'd want to be there to support him as well.
The man was hit by a train on the Upfield line between Jewel and Royal Park stations on July 7. His head injuries were so severe that he wasn't expected to survive, but he's now in a stable condition. His communication is minimal, but he's uttered the words Roy, Ryan and Coburg.
We've tried to do some prompt cards to try and have him spell out words. He's unable to do that. The hospital have tried to get him to respond by gripping their hands, etc., and they've been unsuccessful with that as well.
The man is Caucasian, aged between 65 and 75, 175 centimetres tall, and has a mole under his left eye. How the man managed to get to the train line is also a mystery. Detectives have attempted to retrace his steps, but have yet to find any clue as to how he managed to get here. Detectives have checked fingerprint records, DNA databases and door-knocked homes in the search for relatives of the mystery man.
We've had no nursing homes report him as missing. We've checked our missing persons databases and it's just unreported at this point. So it's quite rare.
Cameron Bowe, 7 News.
Victoria added another 52 deaths to its COVID toll today, but doctors are hopeful the worst of the pandemic is over. They say future peaks will be shorter and less severe.
It was pushed as the pandemic must-have.
Download the COVID Safe app. Download the app. Download the COVID Safe app
please.
More than 7 million Australians did, but 2 years later, the message to delete it.
We found some fairly troubling things.
It wasn't properly tested, wasn't user-friendly, and didn't work.
So it was picking up people who weren't close contacts and not picking up people who were close contacts.
The new government says it cost $10 million to develop, $7 million to market, $2 million to maintain and staff. The total bill, $21 million. And the number of positive cases it found, not picked up by contact tracers, 2, as well as 17 close contacts.
If you were a startup that raised $21 million on an app and only 17 people actually made good use of it, you'd go broke.
As the app and its data is now deleted, signs the current COVID surge is fading. New daily cases have halved since peaking almost 3 weeks ago. There are 4,400 people in hospital tonight. That figure also trending down from its high 2 weeks back. 131 patients remain in intensive care, with another 123 reported deaths. And it may be as bad as the pandemic gets.
Well, I think it is likely that the worst of it is behind us.
Experts say widespread vaccination, immunity from recent infection and new antiviral treatments all together should make future COVID waves shorter and less severe.
And we may even get a vaccine in the not too distant future that will protect us maybe against all coronaviruses.
Paul Kadak, 7 News.
An accused fraudster has been charged over $1 million scam targeting some of Melbourne's most vulnerable. Tegan Doling has exclusive details, and Tegan, police believe there could be more victims out there.
They do, Mitch. Detectives say that the accused fraudster has really gained the trust of his victims before stealing from them. Raymond Tweedley has been charged with coercing vulnerable Victorians to hand over more than $1 million for a fake investment scheme. It's alleged he then flaunted his newfound wealth buying expensive cars, including a $300,000 Mercedes and country properties.
He used false documents, emails, text messages to persuade them that the scam was real. He also used a co-offender to purport to be an actual solicitor to continue to allow those victims to believe that the investment was a real investment.
Now, he was charged following a 9-month investigation. It all actually was sparked by a tip-off from a member of the public who became very suspicious about his expensive purchases. Mitch.
Tegan Doling at police headquarters, thank you. The Chinese ambassador has delivered a blistering address in Canberra declaring Australia's relationship with Beijing at a critical juncture. Stern warnings have been issued to the Albanese government not to play with fire over Taiwan.
China's man in Australia says Beijing's objective is a peaceful reunification.
Taiwan coming back to the motherland.
And if peace doesn't work,
we are ready to use all necessary means.
What does that mean?
You can use your imagination.
Not hard to do with Chinese warships encircling Taiwan, threatening to continue firing live missiles.
It was the US side who was the one who fired the first shot.
That shot, apparently, the visit by 82-year-old US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi.
On the question of Taiwan, there's no room for compromise.
Having condemned Foreign Minister Penny Wong's own condemnation of China's military response to that visit, today a new warning to the Albanese government.
Handle the Taiwan question with caution.
You've said, quote, Australia should handle the Taiwan question with caution. That sounds like a threat. Is it?
I'm here to seek friends, not to seek rivals or adversaries or even enemies.
Acting Prime Minister Richard Marles observing before the speech.
China is going to say what China says.
Anthony Albanese has said he'd be prepared to meet President Xi Jinping at the G20 in Bali in November. The ambassador suggesting it would help if Australia started saying positive things about Beijing first.
You humiliated me publicly, and should I meet you to be humiliated again face to face?
Likening the bilateral relationship to a marriage.
It's one thing for the husband and wife to quarrel and fight at home. It's something else if they fight downtown in the street. It's going to change the nature of the marriage.
Suggesting the Morrison government did that.
We're not going to cower, we're not going to appease, we're going to call out bad behaviour.
And if we don't,
we will find ourselves in conflict in this region.
Something the ambassador insists China wants to avoid. Mark Riley, 7 News.
The Commonwealth Bank's boss has given hope to home borrowers by hinting future rate hikes might not be passed on in full. The bank has a healthy bottom line after posting a $9.6 billion annual profit.
There were big expectations for the biggest of the Big Four, and the Commonwealth's headline results didn't disappoint. The 12 months to June 30 saw operating income reach $25 billion, up 3%, cash earnings of $9.6 billion, up 11%, and a full-year dividend of $3.85 a share. Commonwealth Bank boss Matt Comyn saying,
"From our perspective, it was a strong result."
Yet CBA's share price finished flat, as investors sized up growing competitive pressures. The Commonwealth is among the lenders to recently cut some fixed home loan rates, and analysts say banks might not pass on future Reserve Bank rate hikes in full to variable customers.
We should start to see the interest rates that people pay increase by less than what the RBA increased the cash rate by.
There's a lot of competition for customers, as there should be, and that's great news for customers.
While savers still need to search for higher rates.
Consumers tend to be very sticky in where they place their household savings.
The Commonwealth results were boosted by strong growth in home and business lending, but that's expected to slow, with the bank's economists tipping an 18% fall in house prices in major cities from peak to trough.
That will mean that households become less confident in their spending and start to moderate spending further.
We're starting to see a bit of a pullback in spend measured across people's debit and credit spend. We expect that the economy will soften over the course of the year.
Gemma Acton, 7 News.
Homes near Melbourne's showgrounds are facing 36 hours without water thanks to a contamination scare. Some residents have been moved to hotel rooms after the water supply was declared unsafe to drink or even use to shower.
Residents on Langs Road, Ascot Vale have been left high and dry.
It's a bit frustrating.
Without water and showers for the past 2 days after Greater Western Water turned the main off early yesterday.
It'd be really nice if they told us from the outset, just an email or even a call. It doesn't matter if it's early in the morning, just something to communicate.
What we've issued is a do not use notice, and so essentially that means anything around contact. So no washing, no showering, no drinking, no cooking.
33 customers are affected, including the Ascot Vale Leisure Centre and Ascot Vale West Primary School.
The water got turned off, so we each got one water bottle, and it was like a milk carton of water.
A crew repairing a water main noticed discoloration. It suspected a truck taking water from the main accidentally pumped some back in, potentially contaminating it with a chemical. Tests are now underway.
We're working from home, so it'd be nice to have a shower. It's fairly annoying.
Affected residents have been offered free accommodation at a hotel 10 minutes away until the water is back on, but most have chosen to stay at home and hope.
We've got dogs, so obviously that's not really an option for us.
It's not yet clear when it will be restored.
I really apologise for that disruption.
The dishes are really starting to pile up.
Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
The AFL is freezing the price of finals tickets in a big win for footy fans. The cheapest seats in week 1 of September will remain at $35. Finals return to Melbourne for the first time in 3 years after COVID forced games interstate. The lowest priced grand final tickets will be $185. And there's breaking AFL news at the Blues. Tim Watson, they're fighting to free Patrick Cripps.
They are. Mitch Carlton has just launched a last-ditch tribunal appeal. Chief football reporter Tom Brown has the latest. And Tom, the Blues aren't happy.
Tim, Carlton's taking its fight to clear Patrick Cripps a step further. Last night, the tribunal upheld the 2-match ban for that brutal bump. But in the last few minutes, the Blues revealed they'll appeal at a special hearing at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. There's plenty on the line. Carlton is now at risk of missing the finals with 2 tough games ahead. The case will be difficult to win. There are only 4 narrow grounds of appeal, including an error of law or proving that the sanction was manifestly excessive. It's difficult, but worth it. Cost $5,000, Tim.
Thanks, Tom. Also, ahead in sport, the Magpies' hot streak in danger of coming to an end, plus fresh details on Brodie Grundy's future. Emotional scenes at the Kangaroos with the fan favourite set for a fairy tale return. Aussie golfer Cameron Smith bristles at questions over his reported $140 million payday. And Mitch, a 2-time premiership star, has called it quits. I'll see you again soon.
OK, Tim, looking forward to that. Thank you. Melbourne Airport has just unveiled a multi-million-dollar upgrade. Next, the overhaul that's supposed to bust security bottlenecks. Also coming up, a prominent horse trainer arrested over a stabbing rampage. A miracle escape as a plane touches down on a busy highway. Why thousands of Holdens are being recalled. And later, caught in the act, what's behind a shoplifting surge. Melbourne horse trainer Tommy Hughes Jr. is under police guard in hospital, accused of stabbing two people at Ascot Vale. The 56-year-old was arrested after crashing his car while trying to evade police. Officers say the trainer knew the man and woman he's accused of attacking. Emergency services were called to Docklands around 7 o'clock this morning to save a man struggling in the Yarra River. He was pulled from the water and taken to the Royal Melbourne Hospital in a serious condition. Melbourne Airport has unveiled a $30 million revamp at one of its busiest terminals to iron out delays. It includes new screening lanes and technology to get customers onto planes with less fuss as post-pandemic passenger numbers take off.
An upgrade for Melbourne Airport's fastest growing domestic airline, linking Virgin Terminals 3 and 4.
Being under one roof and fully connected is a really great advantage. Up until now, if you were in T4 and you wanted to make your way to T3, you actually had to go downstairs and outside.
So much warmer too. It's freezing.
There are an extra 5 screening lanes fitted with advanced technology.
You don't have to take out your laptop, you don't have to take out your tablet, so you can get through the security far quicker.
The Qantas terminal is also in the midst of a massive overhaul. Stage 1 will be open by Christmas. Both revamps hopefully avoiding scenes like these from the school holidays. More than 2.5 million passengers passed through Melbourne Airport last month, the majority on domestic flights. That's the highest figure since COVID hit, and a win for tourism.
We're seeing a great pace and scale of our industry's recovery.
Our snowfields are having their best season on record.
By the end of July, they'd had over 1 million visits to the mountain, which was 46% above the best year that they've ever had before.
Like many workplaces, Melbourne Airport's biggest challenge right now is filling jobs. It's teaming up with nearby councils to promote vacancies right across the board.
I would really encourage anyone to have a look at those jobs.
Sarah Jones, 7 News.
Overseas, Donald Trump is fueling speculation he's preparing to run for president again. Just hours after the FBI raided his Florida home, the former president released a campaign-style video promising the best is yet to come.
We will never, ever back down.
But if documents seized from his estate are deemed to be classified, Mr. Trump could be disqualified from another political run. 2 people on board a small plane in the US have had an incredible escape after their aircraft crashed onto a California freeway. The plane hit at least one car and was engulfed in flames when firefighters arrived. No one on the plane or on the ground was injured. Almost 14,000 Holden Commodores are being recalled over a potentially deadly brake defect. Due to a manufacturing issue, the stopping distance may exceed a safe level in the event of a brake booster failure. The recall affects ZB Commodores between 2017 and 2020. Owners are urged to contact their dealership. Jane Bunn joins us now. And Jane, there's a lot of cloud sweeping through.
Mitch, that cloud will be stopping the frosty nights. Instead, it'll bring a bit of rain. It was 3.6 in the city this morning and only slowly climbed from there. It finally reached double figures at lunchtime before a top of 15. Yarra Glen was the frostiest, minus 1.5. Scoresby and Avalon was 0. Nowhere made it to 16. The cloud thickened too early. Tonight is up in double figures all night as rain develops. So it's very different to the past 2 nights. Now I'll show you when that rain will clear after sport, Mitch.
That sounds a bit better, doesn't it? Thank you, Jane. Hundreds of homes are set to go to make way for a major project in Melbourne's southeast. Emma O'Sullivan has the details.
Mitch, it's been given the green light, but locals say there are problems and they're furious. I'll have the latest live next.
Also coming up, the suburbs where the days of dining outdoors could be numbered. New help for parents to protect their children on social media. And Serena Williams says goodbye, taking inspiration from our Australian Open champ. More than 300 homes in Melbourne's east will be demolished to make way for the suburban rail loop. Emma O'Sullivan has the latest from Heatherton. And Emma, the $35 billion project has been given the green light.
Mitch, 2 months after initial work started in Clayton, the State Environment Minister has given the go-ahead for the underground rail line from Cheltenham to Box Hill. It means around 300 homes will now be acquired and demolished for the project, due to be finished in the year 2035. It's also upset a group of locals in Heatherton who live near the proposed train stabling yard. They say that site has long been promised as parklands and sporting fields.
It's not just for a year or two, we're talking well over 11 years. We're going to have an even bigger population in this area. There's going to be even more need for open space and sporting fields, not less.
We've already been talking to those 300 or so property owners that we've identified as needing to acquire for the construction of the project. So they already know that their property is needed to be acquired for the project.
The Environment Minister has also made it a condition that any parkland that is acquired must be replaced by new open space within the same community. Mitch?
Emma O'Sullivan at Heatherton, thank you. A motorcyclist has been killed after colliding with a bus in Melbourne's north. It happened at the intersection of High Street and Marnie's Road in Thomastown around 8 o'clock last night. The bus driver stopped to assist and no one else was hurt. Angry restaurant owners say council red tape is forcing them to scrap their outdoor dining areas. The City of Yarra has put in place strict new requirements that businesses say will send them broke.
So the parklets took up the 2 parking spaces directly out the front of the restaurant.
At the height of the pandemic, a roadside dining area kept Katie Marin's Smith Street eatery afloat, but it's been torn down.
The entire roof is covered in all of the chairs and bar stools that I had on the parklet.
But not by choice. It was set up with the council's approval, but new guidelines forced venues to pay an engineer to assess all outdoor furniture.
Council shouldn't be coming back later and asking them to redo things.
That's on top of usage fees.
My fees would have been $10,000 per annum. I'm a 40-seater venue, so that just is not within my financial capabilities.
Pizza maker Michael Craig dismantled a $7,000 deck. The extra red tape not worth the hassle.
We're not in the position just now to be able to afford to do that, particularly when we don't know if it's going to be approved.
In contrast, the City of Melbourne will continue to waive parklet fees until the end of October.
The State of Victoria needs to come up with rules and regulations that are applied equally and consistently.
In a statement, Yarra Council says its new parklet regulations prioritise safety.
You can afford to go and put a crazy banana on Brunswick Street for $40,000, but you're not going to work with small businesses to help us get back on our feet.
Sonia Marinelli, 7 News.
One person has been killed after a series of explosions at a Russian airbase in Crimea. Witnesses say the blasts damaged nearby homes. Officials deny the explosions were due to an attack. Instead, they say several aviation munitions detonated at the airbase. Social media platform Snapchat is launching new parental controls. The Family Centre allows parents to monitor who their child is talking to, but not what they're saying. But teenagers need to allow their parents access in the first place.
To encourage those open and honest conversations between parents and young people about their online lives.
Parents can confidentially report any accounts they're worried about directly to Snapchat. Serena Williams has drawn inspiration from Ash Barty as she announced her retirement from tennis. The 40-year-old has had 23 Grand Slam victories, but now wants to turn the focus to her growing family.
And she's off the mark with a straight set win.
Hinting this week her time on centre court was nearing an end.
I guess there's just a light at the end of the tunnel.
Serena Williams in a Vogue magazine cover shoot, now confirming it. I've never liked the word retirement, she writes. I'm evolving away from tennis to other things that are important to me. Those things growing her business and her family. Believe me, she writes, I never wanted to have to choose between tennis and a family.
This is you at the US Open.
With 23 Grand Slam titles and 319 weeks spent at number one, the most of any player in the Open era, it's still likely the American will fall agonisingly short of Margaret Court's record. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want that record, she says of the Australian. Obviously I do, but day to day, I'm not really thinking about her. Williams taking inspiration instead from another Aussie, Ash Barty. She was number one in the world when she left the sport. I believe she really felt ready to move on. The stage now set for Williams' farewell at this month's US Open, the place she took her first major as a 17-year-old.
I can't do this forever.
In the United States, David Woywood, 7 News.
There's been a dramatic surge in shoplifting. Next on 7 News, a dad caught in the act in desperate times. Also, petrol prices driven down, but for how long? What was behind a bad day on the stock market? And why these grasshoppers are being released around the city. Fuel prices are continuing to fall across Melbourne, with petrol spotted well below $1.60 at East Bentley. Experts say lower oil prices and the discounted price cycle have led to a significant drop.
The last time we saw prices this low was actually in January of this year. So it actually seems eons ago, but it was only about 8 months ago.
We're being urged to fill up before prices start to rise again soon. It was a strong day on the share market for most of the banking sector, but there were falls elsewhere. Network Finance editor Gemma Acton explains.
Thanks, Peter. After hitting a 2-month high yesterday, the ASX 200 took a leg lower today, dropping 37 points to close at 6,993. Now, despite a soft finish for Commonwealth Bank shares, it was a strong session for the banking sector overall. The Aussie dollar slipped overnight. It's now buying around 69.5 US cents, while gold prices are back around their highest level in more than a month. And the housing market pullback has been underway for a few months now, but hasn't yet made much of a dent in the total value of homes. That's currently valued at $9.8 trillion, just a little off its all-time high in April of $10 trillion. Peter.
Gemma Acton reporting. Shoplifting has surged as families become desperate during this cost of living crisis. One father has been caught on camera using his baby in a pram to steal expensive products from a store.
Showing all the hallmarks of a first-time shoplifter, this dad has a GPS navigation device tucked in the pram, hidden next to his newborn. But he seems unsure about this. Little does he know, staff already watching him as he tries burying it beside the baby's head before settling on up the jumper. Losing his nerve, he dumps the item for a moment, buying time by perusing other stock. He calms himself as staff pass by. As he loosens his belt, his baby kicks in the pram, and this desperate dad goes for it, tucking the box under his belt, covering it with his hoodie. Staff decide to confront him before he leaves the store. He's given an ultimatum.
Well, it's really desperate times, isn't it, for so many people, and they're doing silly things.
This failed theft played out in Adelaide earlier this week. Social welfare groups say it's yet another sign of the increasing financial pressure.
People on low incomes are being absolutely crushed at the moment by the growing costs of just essential things they need: food, clothing, energy costs.
But it does show the amount of pressure families are under. The inflation rate is so high, rents are going up, wages aren't keeping pace, and of course the job seeker payment is falling way behind.
Evan Batten, 7 News.
An extinct species is making a comeback. Matchstick grasshoppers are being released in 3 locations where local populations have died out, including Melbourne's Royal Park. Scientists will monitor the insects and hope numbers will jump into the thousands. Grasshoppers are eaten by birds and lizards and play a crucial role in our ecosystem. Sport is next with Tim Watson and Tim Brodie. Grundy's future is a hot topic.
It is, Mitch, and we've got exclusive details on the asking price for the star pie. We're live next as Simon Goodwin reveals his contingency plans for a potential Luke Jackson departure, why the Bombers' boss won't stand in the way if his skipper walks out. There's a twist in the future of AFL CEO Gillon McLachlan. Live details next, and tears of joy for Opal's legend Lauren Jackson. Welcome back. There's developing news on 2 fronts at Collingwood tonight. Mitch Cleary, Brodie Grundy's future and the flu are hot topics at the Pies.
Tim, 4 players who played in last week's win missed training today with flu symptoms. Josh Carmichael, Jamie Elliott, Beau McCreary and Will Hoskin-Elliott. All now a big watch up to that game with Sydney on Sunday. The Pies hoping to make it 12 straight. Meantime, a Brodie Grundy trade is gathering momentum. Opposition clubs now told that the Pies will be willing to pay $300,000 a year of Grundy's 5 years to leave the club. It means that combined with Adam Treloar's remaining money, it would see the Pies pay roughly $2.4 million for 2 players to play elsewhere in coming years. It could help them keep Jordan Ngoe. Grundy has now met with GWS and Melbourne. The likely departure of Luke Jackson holds the key to any Brodie Grundy move to Melbourne.
We've spoken about Luke a lot. We're going to give him the most amount of time for him to make his decision, and we don't know what that decision is at the moment, so we'll continue to build contingencies.
Those contingency plans centred on a 2-pronged ruck team, a prospect which could see Grundy and Max Gawn play together.
Gawney's looking more and more dangerous as a forward, and it's something that we've liked in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and it's something we'll continue to pursue. So, 2 rucks is something, with the right mix will work for us.
The future of Dyson Heppel also up in the air. Not that Ben Rutten would begrudge a move to the Gold Coast.
He's been a great servant for our footy club. He doesn't owe us anything. We'll be really supportive of Dyson, all of our players, whatever decisions they make. There's a romance around playing for one club, but I get the landscape we're in.
Michael Hurley won't play AFL this week, the club weighing up a potential farewell game in round 23.
It's a topical one, and it's probably something that we are thinking through, the dynamics of that. There's still some uncertainty around Hills moving forward.
Emotional scenes at Arden Street.
Well done, mate. Congratulations.
Confirmation Ben Cunnington will make his comeback to senior footy after 2 bouts of testicular cancer.
Until it sort of gets taken away from you and you've got no control over it, you soon realise that you're still loving it.
Mitch Cleary, 7 News.
Doubt is growing on the future of the new dedicated AFL team in Tasmania. Tom Brown has exclusive details, and Tom, several clubs are becoming increasingly frustrated.
Tim, Tasmania is increasingly unlikely to happen. Several clubs now scratching their heads. They were meant to vote in August. There's no date set for the meeting. Clubs want the formal proposal. They haven't received any reading material, and clubs expect a stadium. Tasmania confirming the final bid does not and will not contain a fully funded stadium.
The bid we've put forward does not include the stadium. We're working through aspects of the stadium as we speak, including, of course, our feasibility study, which we've committed to as well.
The AFL team busy working on arrangements for a stadium, but I'm told there's 6 or 7 clubs already against Tasmania in principle. Unless the stadium plans are concrete at that meeting, that number against will be significantly higher. Tim, separately tonight, Gillon McLachlan will now be in the hot seat as CEO until probably the end of the year. The AFL boss still has the TV deal, the pay deal, the club funding deal and Tasmania. It's a lot to go. McLachlan's house, incidentally, went on the market today. It's more than 1/4 of an acre in Paran, right on the edge of Toorak. It's quoted, Tim, for $10 to $11 million. It's prized real estate.
It is. Thanks, Tom. Plenty on his plate. Hawks skipper Ben McAvoy has announced his retirement after 15 years in the AFL, which included 250 games and 2 premierships.
I don't know that I have that drive anymore, that sort of
it's a strong word to use, but that hatred for the opposition, physically, mentally, emotionally, the petrol tank's just empty.
James Sicily is the hot favourite to take the reins as captain next season. British Open champion Cameron Smith is reportedly set for a $140 million payday, but the Aussie golfer is refusing to confirm he's defected to the Saudi-backed Live Tour.
The Telegraph is reporting that you've signed and are going. Would you like to say yes or no to that?
I have no comment to that.
One of the things being reported is that you are going to be playing in the Live Boston event in early September. Can you comment on that?
Yeah. Like I said, I'm here to play the FedEx Cup playoffs, mate.
Smith is in Memphis for the start of the FedEx Cup. Nick Kyrgios got a taste of his own medicine in the first round of the Canadian Open.
Shots of the week, it could be one of the shots of the year from Sebastian Baez.
He still won in straight sets, though, to set up a clash with world number one Daniil Medvedev. The fairy tale comeback of Lauren Jackson continues. 9 years after her last appearance, the 41-year-old was named in the Opal squad for next month's World Cup in Sydney.
Congratulations, Lauren Jackson, going to another World Cup. So you should be incredibly proud, Lauren.
Every step of the way in this journey has just been quite emotional. Like, it has been a bit of a head game just because I was so far removed.
It will be Jackson's fifth World Cup appearance. That is a great story. Mitch, so too is Ben Cunnington back at North Melbourne. Great scenes at Arden Street today.
I was about to say that as well. He must have worked so hard to get back into that team.
Unbelievable. Very much a loved player there too.
Yeah, indeed. Thank you. Good luck, Ben. Thanks, Tim. Jane is next with the forecast. And Jane, a bit of rain out there tomorrow.
Mitch, there is indeed, but it won't add up to much. Then the sun comes out, a bright end to the day. The details are next. Hello again, but only slowly thawed out during the morning as the frost was trapped under that high cloud, making for a stunning sunrise. In gaps in the cloud, it briefly neared 15, but the day overall felt quite cold. It was below 10 degrees right through to lunchtime. And tonight is very different. We won't be falling below 10. Here's that cloud. It is widespread. You can hardly see Victoria under there. Light rain is starting to reach the ground in the far west of the state, but it won't progress much further eastwards tonight. Tomorrow is when the wet weather arrives. The cloud stopped the frost in the far west this morning. Should do that for all parts tonight. The cloud is ahead of a cold front and low that are over the Bight. The front is gradually sliding southwards while the low becomes complex. There will be two of them. One moves near Tasmania, the other approaches Victoria. The rain intensifies early tomorrow as that cold front comes closer. Watch the front slide and weaken. That'll make the heaviest and most persistent rain here north of the ranges, putting Melbourne and Gippsland in the rain shadow. The low comes into Western Victoria on Friday. If you're in a pocket of sunshine, it's actually quite warm for winter, but there's lots of wet weather circling around that low with the risk of thunderstorms. It'll be a bit of a hint of spring before colder air and more rain pushes through on the weekend with that low. Now, if the low moves just off the southeast, Gippsland could be in for a big soak early next week. Around the nation tomorrow, cloud sweeps right through the east. Sydney on the rain shadow side of the ranges. This time it is dry. Canberra has rain likely in the afternoon and evening. Hobart in the rain shadow. Brisbane sunny ahead of that cloud. Adelaide sunshine in the morning. Lots of showers after lunch as the low nears. Perth is dry, a cold start. To Victoria, no more frost. An area of rain slowly moves through with that front. It's heaviest and most persistent north of the ranges, where a sheep grazier's warning has been issued. On the other side of the ranges, the rain hardly touches Gippsland. Now, sunshine actually follows that before the next part starts in the far west at night. Closer in the morning, grey skies, some light and patchy rain, up to 3 millimetres in the north, barely into the gauge in the south. Then it rapidly clears mid-afternoon and sunshine returns. So it'll be a nice end to the day. That's when we reach 15. But before that, chilly and grey. We've got a bit of drizzly rain at times. To the 8-day outlook, Friday has sunny breaks out there. It may rise to 17, but there is the risk of showers, and in one of those it could grow up to be a thunderstorm, so watch out for those during the afternoon on Friday. As we're going to Saturday, there are some showers passing through, but I'd expect long dry breaks in there too. On Sunday, long dry breaks in the morning, then the rain really increases from Sunday afternoon onwards. Monday and Tuesday could be quite wet depending where that low goes in Gippsland for there. So tomorrow it's a top of 15, but that's late in the day when the sunshine returns. Before that, it's grey, it's drizzly, it's quite chilly, although we won't drop below 10 tonight.
We love to hear the words hint of spring at this time of the year, and you mentioned it.
Yep, that's on Friday. A bit of a sizzle out there.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much indeed, Jane. We're looking forward to that. Now, here's what's on Sunrise in the morning.
Thanks, Mitch. Tomorrow on Sunrise, the Aussie boxer turned ballet dancer. I hit the bar with him as he reveals his next big move.
Plus, Samsung's major announcement, it'll change the way you use your phone. See you in the morning, Melbourne.
And that's the way it is this Wednesday, the 10th of August. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.